Hello friends and greetings for the day. Welcome back to another tutorial on ISTQB Advanced Level Test Analyst Certification. We are in chapter 1 talking about the task of test analyst in test process, continuing ahead with 1.3 task related to work products. And today we shall be covering the subsegment 1.3.5, the test data requirements. And let's understand what kind of requirements do we have related to test data which we use for testing. Depending on our behavior of the data which is used for execution, sometimes we can very much underrate the data requirements. We think what kind of requirement do we really have related to data which we use for testing? Data is all about feeding it into a value to perform a required test, which can be barely a name, a phone number, could be an address, could be a PIN code or zip code, or could be anything else. Now, the most critical thing here to understand is even a zip code varies from country to country. It may not remain the same count, same length, or same format. Similarly, the phone number would also change. The names could be different for the people. And the address is just not about an address. It should even be picking up the right details so that we can avoid human errors and many more things. And that's where let's not underestimate the power of the data which we use for testing. And that's where we would like to talk about this segment here to understand what should we take care of as a test analyst when it comes to the test data requirement. To talk about this, of course, during the test design, that's another activity to help test analysts to define and request the test data that may be needed for all the executions. Considerations include purpose, format, and the context of use also describes the test data requirement. So there are a lot of things which I should take care of, like what is the purpose of the data, the format, the context of use, because you do understand that unit test data would be different from that of system test data. And again, you might have a question here or conflict here, but you must understand unit data could be just a variable value, but system data could be specific to the interface. So that's where your data would be different and might demand more information than that of unit. So you should have the context, the purpose well defined for it. Now, the key aspects what we should include here while talking about it is, of course, the first one is similarity, which is with the production data. Of course, production data reflects real world data, but may lack variability. Sometimes synthetic data allows for controlled variability. It should reflect key aspects of production data pattern, distributions, and outliers, but may overlook certain defects that only occur with the real world data. Now, few important things to remember from here is that it's first and foremost thing is that we should look forward to have real world data as much as possible, because what is going to be used in the production is I should be using for testing as well. Now, the data pattern, distributions, and outliers play a very vital role. The outliers here represent something which is not relevant to our testing or to the system. And that is where certain defects cannot be identified. So it is very crucial that your data is representative of the real world. Okay, for example, if you're testing an application to search for flights, then trying random cities may not be helpful. You need to pick up those cities which actually have airports. It's not necessary that every single city in a country or in a province or state has an airport, right? So you must understand that testing any random city for flights does not make any sense. Rather, the city should be shortlisted where we do have airports, right? So this is how sometimes this could become very crucial. Also, to add here, of course, the for systems that lack production data, synthetic data must reflect realistic business and technical scenarios. Personas help by providing realistic, user-centered profile that guide the creation of data reflecting diverse user scenarios and behavior. Here, the synthetic data certainly refers to the data which can be driven from the business and the technical scenarios, which is more from the point of when we do not have the production data. So we do create, okay, data which is representative of that. For example, if you are testing social security ID, right? the SSID. And of course, you don't have the production data for it. So you still understand what is the format of it. When you're testing for flight booking, you understand you get a PNR, but you do not have a production data for this. Because to get that PNR, it is going to be something which you really have to book a flight. So we do at least understand there's a pattern of PNR. For example, 2-character, 2-digit, 2-character. Or sometimes it is all characters. Sometimes it is 3 characters, 3 digits. So depending on the airline, you can have different PNRs. So at least you know what exactly it is. Now based on that, you can use a tool to prepare the data which is in exactly the same format. Right? So similarity to production plays a very vital role, because if you're testing something other than the production, then you might be just testing but does not fulfill the expectation of the end users. Second important thing here is the confidentiality. Again, in the case of production, if you're using any kind of test data, it is very important for us to anonymize it, which requires protection. Of course, making sure that the personal information is not visible to everyone. So anonymized data removes identifiable information about individuals. If necessary, the test analyst must observe data protection regulations like GDPR in the European Union or HIPAA in the US. So you do understand the value of anonymization. That would be another important thing to be taken care of when using the real data of people. Now, the next thing is, of course, the purpose to define. The test data is crucial for determining preconditions and expected results that impact the system state and its configuration. Now, it also includes specifying user permissions and establishing relations between products, departments, and categories. So, of course, the purpose is very much important. That means what exactly it is being used for. And it should be relevant to that of that particular profile, that particular persona, that particular access, and should be relevant to that. So it can depend on multiple factors like products, departments, and categories. Same way, the coverage criteria, the test data must align with the required coverage criteria for the chosen test technique. In addition to the valid test data, it may also require invalid test data, such as for the negative test. So in simple words, the data are representative of the different techniques being used. For example, you know about equivalence partition, you know about boundary value analysis, you know about state transition testing, and data does vary according to the need of it. They don't have the same data, right? For example, in state transition, we have the state name and the transition between them. The boundary values can use numeric values. So it does not remain the same. So our data should be very much representative and should be in the context of use. Also to add here, of course, the next thing we are talking about is the data format. Systematic data management may require structured data, could be in particular formats like CSV, JSON, XML, etc. Then of course, traceability. Traceability ensures the test data maintainability when changes are made to the test cases. Now again, don't be just misunderstanding about that. Traceability is about linking one item to another item. Traceability could be even between the versions. That if probably you are using 1.5 as a version for the data, maybe the data has been updated for XYZ reasons and you might be using an outdated data. So traceability plays a very vital role, that what version of data you're using and is there a change in that revision, right? The next thing here, of course, is maintainability. So hard-coded test data in low-level test cases should be avoided to facilitate defect detection and maintenance. The test cases should separate test logic from the test data. So in simple words, we are just saying that it should be flexible enough to be used for all purposes. So of course, the hard-coded data is not generally recommended because it is not, okay? It does not help you find defects and can be difficult to maintain. So it's as simple as like when we talk about using variable, then hard coding a value. All what we do is what we are discussing here. So variable allows you to pass any kind of value at any point of time. If you hard code a value in a script or in a code, then of course every single time you run, you will have the same value. So there's no point running different tests with different test data. So in simple word, data-driven testing or parameterization is what we are referring to. The next thing here, of course, is talking about dependencies. So you need to identify if there are any kind of dependent data which requires a series of steps to create them. So if there are any dependencies, should be taken into account while creating that. Then making sure this is available. So service virtualization can address missing data by simulating absent or inaccessible services to interact with external system or services. So it's not necessary that your data is locally provided. It may be possible that your data is being accessed from a source. So making sure the source is available and is eligible enough or accessible enough to supply the data when you're running the test is very crucial. And finally, last but not the least, we are talking about the time sensitive and data aging. There are different objects or different functionalities which use time sensitive data and aging of the data. So test cases involving outdated or time sensitive data may impact system behavior in unexpected or inaccurate ways. I'll give you a very crucial example for this. If you are testing the face ID of the system, you should understand the face ID observes and monitors transformation of your face every single time you use a cell phone. So of course the transformation on the face happens. That is very clear. But how does my phone know that my face has changed but still unlocks my phone? That means there are sensors which are taking care of adapting to this time sensitive data or aging of your face. And that is where your phone never fails to unlock your phone. Okay, so I may need such data requirement as well, and that's where the aging should be done. That is where the time sensitiveness comes into picture, right? For example, testing an equipment to understand earthquake. For that, we don't wait for earthquake. We just make sure we create that situation which observes that. So that's all from this particular tutorial, team. Should you have anything else, feel free to comment below. I'm always there to address your queries and answer them well. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring, keep understanding the context. Thanks for watching the video, team, and happy learning.